These are some of the most famous cliffs in the UK, but there's more to Birling Gap than just the views. Welcome to the Seven Sisters in East Sussex. We'll show you how to get here, what to expect when you arrive, and the story behind the ever-changing coastline. Firstly, how do we get to Birling Gap? The simplest way is by car. If you turn off the A259 at East Dean in East Sussex, then go via the B2103 road that runs between East Dean and Eastbourne. You just follow the signs for Birling Gap and the Seven Sisters Cliff and it'll lead you straight to the car park. The car park is managed by the National Trust, so if you have a National Trust membership, parking is free when you scan your membership card, while non-members pay at the parking meter. If you decide to travel by bus, the Brighton Hove Coaster bus routes, I think it's 12, 12A and 12X at the time of doing this video, they run regularly between Brighton and Eastbourne. You can get off at Birling Gap just before the car park. It's only a short walk to the cliff top facilities and viewpoint. If you're walking the coastal path, you'll walk straight into Birling Gap, which is a great place and a chance to take five. You can enjoy the amenities here, which we'll cover in just a moment. Cycling is an option if you're taking the road route or the nearby South Downs Cycling Network route, but do check first because bikes are not permitted on some of the cliff top footpaths. The stairs that run down to the beach at Birling Gap are sometimes closed due to cliff erosion that happens fairly often along the coast. So for safety concerns, they sometimes close the steps to the beach. Check conditions before you visit. Even on the odd occasion, when the beach access is closed, the cliff-top views of the Seven Sisters are some of the best on the Sussex coast, as this is where the South Downs meets the sea. The facilities at Birling Gap include a visitor centre, outside seating area, cafe, disabled access and shop, a toilet block and, one of my favourites, boot cleaning area, and most days an ice cream van. There's also a Coastguard station here next to some historic cottages. More about those a little later in the video. And here we've even got a red telephone box with a phone in it. I haven't tried it though. It's like going back in time. Oh, here we go. Looks like the Air Force want to see the Seven Sisters today. There's plenty of tables around and some lovely spots for you to lay a picnic blanket just off the cliff top pathway. You'll have stunning views, but please be aware and keep a safe distance from the cliff edge. If you enjoy the walking trails along the coast, Birling Gap sits on the South Downs Way and it works wonderfully as part of the coastal walk between Cuckmere Haven and Eastbourne. Birling Gap is a small natural break in the chalk cliffs that provides one of the few places where people can access the beach beneath the dramatic white Seven Sisters cliffs. The chalk cliffs are constantly being shaped by the natural erosion from wind, rain and the sea. Over time, this has caused parts of the old village and cliff edge to disappear into the sea, which brings us to the history of Birling Gap. Let's take a look back at these cottages. During the 17th and 18th century, the quiet coves and hidden beaches around Birling Gap were used by smugglers. Goods such as brandy, tea, tobacco were secretly landed along the coast and transported inland across the South Downs. In the 19th century, Coastguard cottages were built at Birling Gap to help stop smugglers along the Sussex shoreline. The chalk cliffs at Birling Gap naturally erode at an alarming rate each year, and several of these cottages have been claimed by nature already. In fact, we can see recent proof of erosion and desperate measures taken to save an old lighthouse that's on our walk just over the cliffs here. The Belle Tout Lighthouse was built in 1832 and officially came into operation on October the 11th in 1834. Constructed from Aberdeen granite to replace the earlier wooden structure, it served to protect ships along the dangerous Beachy Head coastline in East Sussex until it was decommissioned in 1902 due to cliff erosion. In March 1999, the 850-ton Belle Tout Lighthouse was moved 17 metres, moved 56 feet back from the eroding Beachy Head cliff edge. The 3-day engineering project used hydraulic jacks to lift and slide the structure onto its new foundations to save it from falling into the sea. You can clearly see how far they moved it and where some of the path has been swallowed up by the power of nature. But now, sitting comfortably in its new spot, it's perfectly situated as a bed and breakfast with stunning 360-degree views from the old light room. Walking this popular coastal path, it offers a choice of well-used gravel, stony or muddy pathways, or if you decide to go off the beaten track, there are some grassy paths which are a little closer to the cliff edge. But whichever way you choose, you'll find viewpoint after viewpoint of the fabulous Seven Sisters and surrounding South Downs. Heading west, you'll come to Cuckmere Haven, another Smugglers' haven and meanders, but more of that in another video. And if you head east, we can't leave out and take a quick look at the famous Beachy Head and present-day lighthouse. The Beachy Head lighthouse was built between 1900 and 1902, with the final stone laid on February 25th, and the light was first operational on October the 2nd, 1902. The 43-metre granite tower was constructed at the base of the cliffs to replace the older, often fog-shrouded Belle Tout Lighthouse as it sat on top of the eroding cliffs. In the 20th century, the National Trust acquired Birling Gap to protect the coastline and historic buildings. Today, still owned by the National Trust, the area is carefully managed as part of the South Downs National Park, preserving landscape for both visitors and wildlife. This video has given an insight to what's around this beautiful spot. Please hit that bell, like and subscribe to see where I am next, as it really does help me personally and the channel grow. Also, if you have any questions, suggestions, or just want to say hi, drop me a comment below and I'll see you in the next one. Happy roaming!